see you, and don't ever call me that.
Hey, kids.
Hey. Hi.
How are you?
Live and kicking. Buffy killed a vampire last night. I think you can get a little more volume if you speak from the diaphragm. Sorry.
We got vampires? I thought the Hellmouth was closed.
Well, it's closed, but not gone. The mystical energy that emanates from it is still concentrated in this area.
Which means we're still the undead's favorite party town.
I wonder if they're here for any purpose, particularly.
You're the watcher. I just work here.
Yes, I must consult my books.
Oh, 8 minutes and 33 seconds. Pay up. I called 10 minutes before you to consult your books about something. Thank you.
We better get to class.
Oh, Buffy. I realize you've only just returned, but when you're ready, I think we should start your training again.
I'm ready. I'll see you after school.
Well, I understand if you want a few days to...
I'm ready.
That's enough. Buffy! Safe to say you've stayed in shape.
Possessed.
That's the only explanation that makes any sense. I mean, you should have seen her last night. That wasn't Buffy.
Are we overlooking the idea that she may be very attracted to me? She's possessed.
Possessed by what?
A possessing thing.
Well, that narrows it down.
Well, you're the expert. Hey, maybe when the master killed her, some mystical bad guy transference thing happened.
That's what it was. I mean, why else would she be acting like such a bitch?
Well, I think we're all a little too old to be spelling things out.
A bitka?
Yes. I suggest that the explanation for her behavior may be something, well, more mundane. They simply have what you Americans refer to as issues. Her experience with the master must have been extremely traumatic. Well, she was, for at least a few minutes, technically dead. I don't think she's dealt with that on a conscious level. She's convinced herself that she's invulnerable for the very reason that she feels...
That's a very interesting point about trout you just brought up now.
Trout? Trout, yes. Trout is a fish. Good morning. Do you sleep well?
Like a rock. Candidate for what?
What are you doing?
Breaking into your office and going through your private files. Candidate for what?
I'm calling the police.
Now, you've got a whole bunch of candidates here. I wonder if any of them are missing like Ricky. Gosh, I bet they are.
You're getting yourself in a lot of trouble.
I don't want any trouble. I just want to be alone and quiet in a room with a chair and a fireplace and a tea cozy. I don't even know what a tea cozy is, but I want one. Instead, I keep getting trouble, which I am more than willing to share.
About 10 years ago, I had an idea for a movie. I'd seen a lot of horror movies, which I love very much, with blonde girls getting themselves killed in dark alleys, and I just germinated this idea about how much I'd like to see a blonde girl go into a dark alley, get attacked by a big monster, and then kill it. And that was sort of the genesis for the idea of the movie, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I worked on that for a while, and eventually it got made. Several years after, the people who owned the rights came to me and said, "Are you interested in making a series out of it?" And although it had been a fun idea for a movie, I wasn't really sure if there was a whole series there just about this girl going and killing vampires. So I started to think about it, and I came up with the notion of playing all sorts of horror movies in high school and making them really metaphors for just how frightening and horrible high school is. My original script for the movie was kind of dark and scary, and it was comedic, but the final product was much more just a broad comedy. With the show, I kind of wanted to get back to the roots of genuine horror, but with a lot of comedy and a lot of edge and a lot of sort of, self-reflective examination of horror, but at the same time make it genuinely creepy and hopefully genuinely moving. Sunnydale is every town in America, basically, and really every town in the world. We chose a bright, sunny, sunshiny California town because that sort of contrasts with what we expect, where we expect to see horror. Basically, it's supposed to be any high school, your high school, my high school, anywhere where boys and girls are going through their adolescence and torturing each other because of it. Ostensibly, in the narrative, we put the town on a hellmouth. Which means that it's a sort of center of mystical energy, and every sort of monster and creature and spell and bad thing that can happen from the underworld is sort of drawn there, and that's our excuse for, all these monsters that keep cropping up. But really, anybody who's ever been to high school knows that they're just there. Well, we had certain rules about making vampires that we imposed on ourselves. I wanted them to look monstrous, so that when Buffy killed them, we didn't feel this was a girl just killing people. I felt uncomfortable with that. I wanted to say, these are demons. At the same time, you want them to look normal, so you can wonder, is that guy a vampire? So we could hide the truth about Angel. So we, had the idea, and this has been done before, we're not the first to use it, that when they feed or when they get very emotional, their demon faces sort of come out. And as far as the characters of vampires are concerned, it's really dictated by whatever we need. Sometimes we have the froofy European Anne Rice type vampires, and sometimes we have the dusty Western near dark type vampires, and sometimes we just have a bunch of stuntmen. Buffy has to fight every kind of demon that we can come up with: Frankensteins, robots. Demons, with horns, a ventriloquist's dummy, and any horror movie that we loved, we want to throw in there. Buffy was an incredibly difficult part to cast because you really need a character actress in the body of a leading lady, and that's harder to find than you might expect. Sarah came in. She was beautiful, she was accomplished, she actually had taken some Taekwondo, which didn't hurt, but the most important thing is she found the humor in it. She was very light and very engaging and very funny, but at the same time she brought a lot of intelligence to it, which is something Buffy needs. If she's just a bimbo, eventually you lose interest, but Sarah could be as quirky and silly as Buffy needs to be, but at the same time bring real depth and intelligence to what she's going through. Buffy was always intended to be a role model, and we're not out to confront issues, we're not out to lecture people, but it was very important to me that Buffy be the kind of girl girls could look up to and relate to and show not only a hero but how difficult it is to be a hero. Well, a Buffyism is basically just an odd way of speaking. People often quote the sort of things that people say, but we don't have a lot of phrases that we like to use. Basically, it's not about creating a word that all the kids are going to go out and say. It's more about just sort of twisting the English language until it cries out in pain. I love language, and I love playing with the way people talk and their cadences, and the thing about trying to create hip, fresh teen speak is that by the time you get it on the air, it's over. You can't say what the teens are saying because they're not saying it anymore. 40,000 sitcoms of guys going, well, that's whack. And, you know, for 3 years after people had stopped saying it, were just embarrassing. So I knew when I wrote the movie, I tried to listen to teenagers to see what they talk like, and they all talked like Heathers. So that was useless to me. So I said, oh, I'll just create a way of speaking. And if it catches on, then it will be what teens are saying. Well, Angel started out as a potential love interest, but quite frankly, we had no idea. Would he work? Would he be any good? You know, David was an unknown, and we didn't know if people would respond to the relationship. Of course, they did, and Buffy and Angel are a great romance. We got a lot of things coming up. Angel will, in fact, have his own series next year. He won't be in Sunnydale anymore. He won't be that far away because I hope to do some crossing over between the characters. Buffy and friends, they've been in high school for 3 years. They're about to graduate. And so next season we're going to see them going to college or not going to college, depending on their characters. And they're going to find out that the angst they've been going through in high school doesn't ever stop. Well, yes. I was a pathetic loser in high school, and this school Sunnydale is based largely on my high school experience and the experiences of other writers who work on the show. I attended a school, you know, in New York for several years, Riverdale, where I underwent many humiliations and much anxiety, and that finds its way in the series. I actually finished high school in England at a all-male boarding school.
I play Buffy Summers, who is the chosen one, and to every generation is born one whose job is to fight the evil, not just vampires, any underground evil. And a slayer is the person that is born to fight this. You are chosen. There can only be one slayer at a time. Every time a slayer dies, a new one is called. Usually you discover it when they come and find you. In Buffy's case, she was in her high school in Los Angeles, a sort of vapid and vacuous valley girl. And one day her watcher showed up and said, "You are the chosen one." And from then on, it's been her job. Sunnydale is a town in Southern California, sort of unspecified as to exactly where it is. We assume it's south of Los Angeles. And Sunnydale happens to be built on a hellmouth, which is a portal of evil. So evil demons, they all seem to gravitate towards Sunnydale because of this hellmouth. Giles is Buffy's watcher. Buffy had a watcher before Giles, who we don't talk about much, who, if you've seen the movie, you know he was killed. But it's not something we address much. Giles and Buffy have a sort of antagonistic relationship. He's very stuffy British, and she's still part Valley Girl, so a lot of it is conflict, but he loves her like a father loves a child. So there are emotions that are crossed there. Well, I think like every teenager, Buffy's torn. There's a point in your life when you're not a child anymore, but you're not an adult. And there are decisions to be made that people don't want to help you with, and it's a very, very difficult time. And there's Buffy just trying to deal with the problems of adolescence, of dating, of parenting, of, you know, learning when to cross the line, when not to. At the same time, she has this adult job and adult responsibility, and the two worlds collide. Well, as I've gotten older, so has Buffy. Obviously, aside from the physical and the hairdos changing and the hair colors, Buffy's matured through her experiences. She's seen a lot now. She's had her first love. She's had her first sexual experience. And she's gone through a lot of things with her friends. And like anybody, that changes you. Joss has his own sort of language that's a little difficult for us mere mortals to understand. I grew up in New York. We didn't have Valley Girls, and a lot of times I should say constantly, I'm asking him, what does this mean? I'm not quite sure. There's a very funny story around here, and that revolves around the audition, where the first line is, "What's the sitch?" And there I go walking in, and my first, "What does this mean?" No idea it meant situation. Talk about blowing a job instantly. Joss is brilliant. I mean, the show is his baby. These ideas are all in his head, and it's wonderful to see him take them from up here and most of the time able to explain them to us. The show is done with love, and that's the amazing thing, and it's not just Joss, it's everybody. It's every grip and electrician, and everybody loves the show. It's a very brutal show to make. The hours are horrible, the conditions are never wonderful. We work a lot of nights, a lot of smoke, a lot of fire. The show couldn't be done if everybody didn't love doing it and was proud of the work that they did. Well, I think the beauty of the show is that it appeals to everybody. It's a show that adults can watch with their children. You know, young children just enjoy the monsters and the pretty people and the funny jokes. Older teenagers can relate to it, especially females. It's the first time in a long time, now the trend is moving towards it. We're gravitating towards these strong female individuals that people can look up to. Buffy is not the smartest in her school. She's not the prettiest. She's not the most popular. She's okay with who she is. And it's very important as a teenager that you have someone that you can look up to that's an individual. Because as we all know, high school is not your sheep. You follow the trend, and it's wonderful to learn that individuality is important. Young, you know, early 20s, it's just a fun, campy show, and adults can watch it with their children and later talk about the messages that we incorporate. A lot of the metaphors that Joss uses relate to everybody. I mean, at some point in their life, everybody knows what it's like to feel invisible in school, that people don't notice you. Our girl just happens to actually turn invisible. Every day is a challenge on this show. Between sitting in makeup for all this time to get these bruises, to going from a happy scene to a crying scene, to it's 2 o'clock in the morning and we're still doing action work, it is a very difficult show to do.
Yeah, so my relationship with Buffy is the fact that, you know, his name is Angel. He's a 242-year-old vampire with a conscience who has feelings for Buffy, who is a vampire slayer. And in the beginning of the whole episodes, the beginning of the season, she didn't know he was a vampire, and now found out. And so now that I am a vampire, there's that tension, that romantic heat that's between the two of us. Should she kill? Should she not kill? And she can't kill because I have feelings for her, and she knows I'm good, but I probably will turn bad. The character's developed considerably with leaps and bounds. I mean, he started out in the beginning just kind of informing Buffy of demons and bad occults that may happen in the future. Second season, he became more attached to Buffy, and there was more of the romance that was being played out. And by the end of the second season, his conscience was lifted because he and Buffy got together, and he felt pleasure, so therefore his conscience was lifted and became that evil vampire again. So then he turned evil again. At the end of the second season, he was sent to hell. And now he's back for a third season, and he's back, and he's a little insane with his conscience back. So the writers have taken this character up and down, and we've experimented with going back into his past a little bit, and but there's more to go into his past, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they were basically pretty much in the 11th hour with the character. And they had looked for, you know, all over the place for this guy. And at the time, I was, you know, I didn't have a manager, and I was walking my dog, and my manager saw me walking my dog. And he said, oh, this guy would be great for the part. You know, I know the casting director. So he stopped me and said, you know, I'd like to take you in for this part. Are you an actor? Yeah. And I said, yeah. And before I knew it, I was in reading for Buffy. Got the part, wasn't even signed with my manager. And it's just snowballed. From there, it's just the character has literally taken off from a 7 out of 12 in the first episode to being a series regular the second season and becoming part of the team. So it's been quite a ride. He's moving away from Sunnydale, and Joss has created his second series called Angel, which will take place in Los Angeles, and it'll be more of an adult-oriented show where I will fight the demons of, like again, the demons of people's pasts, what they hold on to, and you know, what Angel lives for, what he goes through with his nightmares. He'll try to make amends with through other people by killing their own demons, and somewhat trying to regain his own soul in the process. So it should make for very interesting episodes. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's really in tune with his actors and his writers and his people that he works with, and he's on the set, which makes it very comfortable. Not only a creator of a show, but somebody who comes down to the set while they're shooting and gives his own personal notes, which is doesn't really happen today in Hollywood on television shows. Sarah's, she is one of the things I will miss most about leaving the show is working with Sarah. We've created a special bond between the two of us that is very unique and different, and she has the ability to transform herself very quickly, very professionally, and very openly, which makes it easier for another actor to kind of ride along with her. She comforts you and gives you a sense of who you are as a person and not as an actor, which is, I feel, the best thing to have. She's a wonderful presence, and she's very strong in what she does. She exudes a lot of confidence, and it shows. And I'll miss that a lot. Yeah, the makeup process takes about an hour and 20 minutes. It's a piece that fits from here to here, and Todd McIntosh is wonderful. You know, he just blends it all in, so the final result's very sharp and clean, makes for a very scary vampire. It can be tedious, and taking it off is the worst part, because you have to sit there and you want to just rip the damn thing off, but you can't, because you'll take a piece of your skin with you, so it has to be removed very delicately to take it off. But the end result is great. It's worth it. Definitely is worth it. It's a wide range, and that's one of the most surprising things about it, is the fact that they see Buffy the Vampire Slayer, think teenage, but you know what? Watch it and you'll be surprised, because the writing dictates the show and leads you on a ride that you'll have a lot of fun with.
Well, I play Willow Rosenberg, and she's the computer genius of the show, I would say. And she's Buffy's best friend. And yeah, that's Willow. Willow she found out that Buffy was a Slayer because she decided to go out with this random guy, and he turned out to be a vampire, and Buffy saved her. So she just found out that way. Yes, lately Willow has been studying the art of witchcraft, and she's done a few spells, and you know, she'll help curse or uncurse whoever needs to be cursed. One element? Oh, wow. There's so many great elements of the show, but I really think that it's the writing. You know, we have such incredible scripts, and we're just so fortunate to be able to, you know, get to act that stuff. So I would say that the best part of the show is definitely the writing, you know, because then we have so much less that we need to do, you know. You just sort of show up and know the lines, and it all clicks. Joss is just an incredible genius, and the way he just comes up with things, it's incredible. I would love to just get around and explore inside his brain, but that's not possible, because I've tried, and he just won't let me. He's like, get away from me. But yeah, he's just incredible, and he's just always on the ball, and always has millions of ideas floating. I think think Willow's a good role model. She does extremely well in school, which is very important. And, you know, and she's, I think, the most realistic character, you know, when you look at the kids in high school and stuff. It's just the mail that I receive is always talking about, you know, oh, I'm just like Willow, or my best friend is just like Willow. So, so I know people out there can definitely relate to her. And, you know, I just think that like Buffy is the girl everybody wants to be, but Willow is more like what they are, you know, which is good. It's just she doesn't have superpowers.
What qualities does Buffy have that make her a good role model?
What qualities does Buffy have that makes her a good role model? Well, you know, she's smart. She stands up for herself, and even if they play on the whole, you know, she doesn't do as well as she could in school. Well, you know, she's smart. She stands up for herself, and even if they play on the whole, you know, she doesn't do as well as she could in school. She does. She scored high on her SATs. So, and she's a great role model for girls because it shows that you know, that you can be strong and confident and, you know, and be independent and not have to just go with the flow in high school.
I play Xander Lavelle Harris. He's very deep. He's kind of like the spiritual advisor to everybody. No, kidding. I'm just a funny guy, you know, joke here, joke there. I'm like seasoning. I'm kissing more girls now, which is good. I'm more physically active. Sexually, of course, but it's all very safe. And in terms of the physical stuff, I guess I've just become more brave, you know. Before I would kind of squeal. Have you ever stuck a pig before? No? They squeal, man. It's loud. First season I would squeal like a stuck pig. Now I'm pretty much, I say, hey, don't do that, and then I'll run. Yeah, we had a lot of people die in my high school. It was tragic, too, and we had a mayor that would just try to hide it all. No, I wish it was like this. I didn't date in high school at all, and lines weren't written for me. I didn't go into a classroom knowing what was going to happen. You know what I mean? I wish I did. Now I go into a classroom knowing what's going to happen, like what my test is going to be. So, but no, I hated high school. With a passion, I hated high school. So it's nice to be able to relive it again. Oh, the Buffyism? What's the sitch? What's the 411? Hi? No, I don't. That's not a Buffyism. That's just a normalism. They have just certain. Pretty much, they chop words in half. So that sentence would be they chop or ha. That would be a Buffyism.
Yes, I'm Buffy's watcher. The basic premise is that we have an American high school girl who is told in her teens that she is the only woman, the only girl in all the world of her generation who has been chosen to hunt and kill vampires. She's already had a bad experience with that. She's burnt a school gym down, and she's moved away from where she was in order to start life afresh and forget the fact that she's the chosen one, the Slayer. And she pitches up at Sunnydale High School, where I'm waiting for her. I am her watcher, who is basically her mentor, the person who's been chosen to watch over her, to take care of her, to train her, to
discipline her, to teach her. And she's not terribly happy with that. She really just wants to go out with boys, paint her fingernails, and go to the mall. It's, yeah, I mean, the reason he's British is because it provides a nice foil for Buffy's very American attitudes, and she's very teenage. So there's a total culture clash, culture clash. I mean, she's talking in a language that my character doesn't understand. Even though we speak the same language, we don't speak the same language. Well, normally Brits out here get cast as either the bad guys or the complete fools. Giles is not a fool. He's deeply learned. One of the choices I made at the beginning was that I've prepared for this for some time, and that there's a lot of theory gone into it, but that I've had absolutely no practical experience. So that when we actually first get into the fray, it's a bit of a shock, and there's a fair amount of ground to be had from that. It's the first time that anyone has proven that you can have real humour, wit, dry humour, and then at the same time have tragedy, real tragedy, and thrills and horror. Normally, if comedy and horror go together, it's a spoof. That's the only way people really have ever dealt with it before. And Joss set out from the beginning to say you can have all the emotions, you can, and they are heightened by the existence of the other emotions. She doesn't stop. I mean, thankfully she's young. So, yeah, she doesn't stop. She's in it 8 days out of 8 days. Very rarely is she not on set. She does a lot of the physical stuff. She does have a stunt double, but thank God, to be honest, because I mean, she'd be beaten to a pulp by now.
She's very nasty in the beginning, but as time goes on, she becomes more dimensional. There's some interaction going on with the other characters that creates, there's always conflict between Cordelia and Buffy, which is always fun to watch. But then there's a romance involved, and so we get to see a softer side of Cordelia, which is nicer and surprisingly heroic at times, and she's, pretty darn interesting character, in my opinion. Through romance, Xander and Cordelia have a lot of sexual tension pent up since, I guess, we've known each other since we were kids in elementary school, and opposites attract. So he's very tight with Willow and Buffy, which is, considered the Scooby Gang, and that was kind of my way in. I think that, first of all, the show is very, it's nice to look at. It's shot well. The cinematography is amazing. It's darker, so you're attracted to it immediately because it's different from anything else you might see on television, especially that's high school oriented. I think the fact that there's a lot of teen angst, there's a lot of appeal with watching someone such as Buffy, a young, pretty girl struggling, coping with situations as they're drawn. She feels different because she's a Slayer. That's very compelling. So there's like a drama element. There's a lot of humor and self-deprecation involved. Like the show makes fun of itself in a lot of ways. That's attractive. And special effects and the fighting, draws the men. And I don't know, it's just a great show. It's a very ambitious show. We try to tackle a lot of things in one show, and I think we're pretty successful at it. I don't think there's anything else really out on television that does all of those things, humor and drama and special effects and comedy. It's great. She has a lot of strength in that department. Well, she's been doing it for many, many years, so she's a veteran. She's a consummate professional in the regards of knowing where her marks, hitting her mark, knowing her light, knowing her lines. And she's skilled in the regard that if she needs to cry, like, she can do that. She works a lot, and that's why. She's a talented, talented actress.
That's the one thing that we've been really conscious of, is maintaining the core of the character, which is an intelligent, inquisitive, and he keeps to himself. He doesn't say anything unless he's got something very specific to say, and whenever he talks, it's usually some grand observation involving everyone's perception of a certain situation instead of just his own. I like that a lot. People make the metaphorical comparison all the time. I didn't really have a horrific high school career, so I can't equate that to battling demons and monsters on the Hellmouth. But, you know, some people apparently didn't get along with their teachers and other kids. I don't know. So the first time I met him at this audition, I was really excited by how much he cared about even the most periphery characters. He wanted everything to be very specific. He had a real vision for everything that was going on. I like that a lot. And that was one of the deciding factors for me wanting to be a regular on the show when they asked me, was I knew that the person whose vision this was going to stay on. He wasn't going to, like, bake it and then leave it for other people to distribute. He's on the set all the time. He's very specific and nurturing to it so that we all feel like an important part.
At the start of the series, all kinds of stuff has gone down from the film. And I'm not quite sure what she's done, but she burned the school down. So, you know, we've left town, moved to Sunnyvale. I'm going to start an art gallery, so things are very tentative at the beginning of the episode. Well, at the end of the second season, it's quite a shock for Joyce to discover that my daughter's a vampire slayer. So this year, I'm really having to contend with that. You know, what it's like to have a daughter who has superpowers and, you know, worrying about her getting hurt and taking on the world, and at the same time, that point between a parent and a teenager, how much of her life can I share? You know, how much do I need to stay out of the way? And that's one thing that's really special about the show, too, is a lot of times the main writer-producer will start to kind of back off and turn the reins over to somebody else and move on to another project. And Joss is incredibly hands-on. I mean, he comes down and watches almost every rehearsal and is just really there to keep the thread and the through line and the continuity of the whole thing going.
She's pretty athletic, but
She was a skater.
Yeah, she was an ice skater and things like that. And she has a lot of knowledge of film. That's the big thing, because she understands what the heck I'm talking about. When I say, I've got to do this because we're on this side, we're doing that, and she understands right away.
Yeah. The physical appearance also is very important. We're the same height, we're the same weight, we go to the same hairdressers, we use the same toothpaste, you know, that kind of stuff.
But with Buffy, it has to seem like this little 5'4" girl is just really fighting for her
105
life, you know?
pounds.
Yeah, so
Knocking the
that's the difference. I think it's the only show where you see a girl just really coming out and fighting hard.
Yeah, it's really exciting for us. We have a lot of fun doing the show. You know, there are a lot of challenges, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, when we sit back and watch the show, all the elements come together, and it's a lot of fun.
I think the largest number of vampires alone have been about 17. But in that particular episode that I'm thinking of, we also had 2 leads in vampire makeup, plus the master character and stunt doubles on all of those. So it takes the count up over the 20s to about 24 or 25 makeups. I wouldn't say that there was one particular effect that was more difficult than another. All of our creatures, when we have a demon or we have a specific monster, have their own set of problems. So there wasn't one that's worse than another. But what is a challenge on this show, and the part that I love the most about it, is the blend between the beauty makeups and the monster makeups, and handling the volume. Of all the shows that are currently around, it's one of the very few that handles that kind of volume. I mean, out of vampire shows that have been done on television, most of them don't even have prosthetics. The Emmy was a wonderful acknowledgement from our peers of what we've done, but it really doesn't change your life. At least it shouldn't. You shouldn't let it go there. It's a pat on the back. It's an attaboy. And we appreciate it for what it is, and we're all very, very proud of it. But the show keeps going, and the people keep coming in the door.
And you still have to get here at 5 in the morning.
And we still have to get here at 5 in the morning.
No, we're not on the one. The arrowhead.
Let's do final touches and call it off and shoot.
Oh, sure. Sorry, man. But he doesn't need to actually dab you. Sarah, you can tell me. That should do it. And I think we can stay high once Giles squats. We don't need to go back to him. That's great. You need a little hoodman for that. They make that?
Yeah, I think we have a there's a hood in the one of the cases for it.
So what I'm saying, if you find that
What, are you getting kick off of it? Or you getting whatever?
I can never.
You can't wiggle it. It's gonna break it.
Does the same thing as the other one.
No, the other one would wiggle here.
You like these old?
Oh, good.
You know, these mags aren't that bad at all. Actually, so easy. What's this?
Oh, yeah.
Who's next?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they have the rubber.
It's just for
Maybe we'll stay on those lights when Tony comes over.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little rise.
All right, fine.
We were late on the boom.
Yeah, but try and hold Harris a little bit on his lead.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
From this angle, you can't see if he misses it slightly, but it needs to be.
Do we want to?
Actually, I'll tell you what.
Do we want to?
What I'll do.
I'll just pan.
Okay.
Okay.
As he goes, just use that.
Or even.
That's fine. Yeah, you can do it. Be right
Yeah, I didn't want to crowd him. You want to do a little on the chassis? You think it'll hold?
Yeah, we got nothing down.
Generous guy.
Generous to a full.
Yeah.
You need these?
Yeah.
Not let a hiccup breathe. As long as you get in the ballpark.
If I'm within 3 feet either way, I'm not.
I think. I don't waste any time.
Okay. My angle is not fine.
Yes. Red.
Keeps buffing. Now I see the strength.
Okay.
Taping cable.
Shadows.
Be taping cable now.
Kevin, it's just like I.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wouldn't mind it.
What causes him to come? It is presumption to help you, which is why.
Now, Giles.
I just wish there was something that really
Oh, yeah. Now, Giles starts walking pretty much right after that, so maybe we just start our move.
Might.
Stop.
Noisy.
I'll say that.
I mean, I could go back
So Wayne,
Yo.
when Harris leaves,
We'll start moving across.
start,
a little bit.
yeah,
Start
start
the boom
coming
thing.
this way.
And then as Giles walks in, then we do our boom.
Yeah.
Boom and move in.
And in.
Yeah, that'll do it for me. If I just see that she's a little, hard for her to do that. That'll be enough.
We'll play that on the reverse. You're okay?
Done yet?
Yeah, chassis me right, please. Second, okay, thanks. Chassis me right. Well, too much now. Back me straight up on lens. Higher on the arm.
This, tighter on the
And left a little bit, please. Left
And
just
then
slightly.
I reverse.
A little more left. A little more left. All right, there, a little higher on the arm. Hold that. Okay, so,
Lovely.
you happy with this?
I have.
And then when he goes to
You
his
can
other
touch
mark,
wider if you want.
go to the other mark, David.
There, how's that?
Does it still
Okay,
hold?
it still holds, yeah.
Well, let me
Now-
see when you look at it, Sarah.
Is this clean at me?
Ease me to my right, just an inch, please.
Now, it would be nice to be able to take Tony
Take Tony into an over.
under the oval.
Watch this. Okay, so Paula, you jump out of there. And as Tony comes forward, let's one remark, Wayne. I want to drop and I want to slide to the left, and we're going to pick up a real nice over on Tony. Okay. So tell me when you're ready to go. And Lisa, may I see you in the chair, please? Sorry, what? Mishima?
That's why I get a gold star and then you
Unravel and spin it.
Set it the last two.
See about your height, it's a little short.
Michael, we can go to picture next, though. They've talked through this.
To go up a little bit.
All right, great.
Okay.
So it'll be a little more defined.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's shoot.
So big picture.
Oh.
Okay.
So before I did.
Is there anything you need to do before we get started? Pray? Alright. Let's get your hair up a bit here.
We did Tank Girl in Tucson in July.
Yes, I've heard.
We had 30-pound servo motors on our heads and full coverage, and our suits were made out of wetsuits with like 2-inch or 1.5-inch foam outside
How much
of
did that weigh? Okay, let's see how this little baby fits. And if you don't mind, once I get to the stage of putting it down, I'm just going to lay you back. And we'll put it down back because it's a little faster.
Faster is good.
Yeah,
Mother opens the door, a look of great concern crosses her face when she sees someone balled up in a fetal position at the foot of the... Uh-oh. I have to roll over.
And grab her, possibly.
She goes to Buffy and touches her arm, the figure rolls over, Kralik says, Mother.
And lift your head and give you a little neck rest. How's that?
That's
That help?
There we go.
I'm just barreling ahead.
Perfect. I like that.
Me too.
You made you such a fine, light piece here.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake. Do I have fingernails or anything like that?
No, no, you don't have to worry about any of that.
In Tank Girl, we had hands too.
Ugh.
And I roll my own cigarettes.
This method of gluing takes a little bit of patience, but it is so much faster.
Yeah, see, you put all the glue down already?
Yep, it's all there.
Then you just lay it on.
Lay it on and press it in. Like it was made for you.
Now, are you gonna make me pale, more pale than
No,
I am?
no, we really do try and match right into skin. We tried pale, but with the lighting, it just went flat.
And there's no way you can, like, it just went flat, meaning that, like, you didn't have any shape in the...
Yeah, it whited out. All of the details disappeared.
Do vampires have eyebrows or no?
No, no. They thought it was scarier without.
They're probably right. Now, I thought your vampires were like, they looked normal and then became vampiric.
They can do both, but most of our villain vampires are always in this. If they're mixing and mingling with humans, they try.
Does that mean that you have vampires which in fact are not?
We only have one. The lead male vampire of the show, Angel, who was cursed with his own soul back. So he's not a demon. He has to feel remorse for all the things he did in his life.
Well, what does he eat now?
Animal blood. He goes to the butcher and gets cast off blood.
We want to, I guess we don't really need to. There's quite a bit of darkness under the eyes anyway. Alrighty then. Well.
Any sore spots?
Nope.
Oh, good. Well,
I have
a little
to
part
clock
two.
this though. Well, let's see. Now do most vampires suck their teeth and talk with a lisp on this show?
Lisping is usually
Lisping so maybe I'm, shall we say a very happy vampire?
I think you could bring any form of neuroticism to Kralik and you'd be fine.
You don't even have to act with. This is really, you're good. This guy is an artist.
Thanks.
And he's fast, which we actors truly appreciate.
I always encourage them to go to the mirror.
Okay.
All right. You want to keep them in to practice?
No,
with me,
I don't.
No. No, I don't.
Yeah, just keep her left so that her look is left to right, okay?
Yeah. You want me to see him?
I don't think you'll see him.
I'm above him.
Ready, Wayno?
Playtext. There?
Yes, but yeah.
That's the one. How you doing?
Ready, Ann?
And action.
I got it.
Buffy?
That was great.
Now, I'm just looking for this reflection again.
Is that what we did? We moved for reflection?
Yeah, I was totally seeing it all.
Well, we took it totally off
I
our
wouldn't
portrait.
I don't use with the door open.
So, you need more further around.
Oh God, I'm glad you said that because they've got a Polaroid me for the. We have to have a Polaroid with the two of us.
Oh,
Right,
we
the
have
one
to take
she
that here
finds.
before we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, the
That's
one she
right.
finds.
Yeah.
Ed? Or do you have...
So we need.
We just take this one Polaroid
We need
here
eyes and
before-
teeth first.
Oh, that's right. We're going to see your face, huh?
All right, baby. It's all good.
This guy looks like nuts.
Sometimes I feel like.
Popcorn's like with soybeans.
Cord, I'm gonna watch this.
Popcorn with what?
We can't do this for ourselves.
It's still on beans, not popcorn.
No beans in the corn. This is on me, right?
No beans in the corn.
What?
I guess it brings out.
Maybe they're related. Full stock.
That's what happened to Michael.
Well, only when Wayne leans on it. Stay quiet, please.
Everybody sit. You got the cable. That cable?
I'm sorry.
Specific activities for Sarah.
No, am I supposed to be doing this jam? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah, I thought maybe you could be doing the jig.
Jam up, jelly tight. I haven't seen a problem right away, though.
Did you save the team?
Who here? Does anyone eat the heel?
I do.
Did you see her on Rosie O'Donnell?
That's part of the bread.
So cute.
But you guys didn't because you
They were singing
not
because she was...
All right. Rehearsal bell. Lock it up. Real good lock up, please. Everybody spread out.
People eat it, don't they? I've never seen people on TV either, but you know they still do.
Nick, can you lean back just a
No,
little,
Nick,
and
they
then
keep
as we
on
volley,
making
just
it
sort of.
their channel.
Ready and action.
I just can't believe Giles was fired. Hey, how could Giles get fired?
So, how'd you manage to kill Kralik?
Oh, she was very clever. You go ahead and tell it, dear. You tell it better.
No, when you say fired, does that mean fired?
You're not cruising past that concept anytime soon, are you?
Well, it's just he was fired. He's unemployed. He's between jobs.
Well, he's not going anywhere. He's still a librarian.
Okay, but I'm writing an angry letter.
But nothing's really going to change. And in fact, I managed to... What line? In fact, nothing's going to change. The important thing is I managed to give up my special birthday tradition of gut-wrenching misery and
Right side to everything.
I'll feel better once I get my power back.
Give you a hand with that little lady?
You're enjoying this way too much.
Admit it, sometimes you just need a big straw.
If I keep jamming all these slices of bread, then we're going to waste so much bread.
And think of the jam.
There's like starving people. It's Thanksgiving and we're just
They
going
can't
to
eat
waste all
this.
this bread.
It doesn't process in their body.
Just do one.
I'm still opening this jam. Ready? And action. Admit it. Sometimes you just need a big straw.
Maybe I could just...
I can't work like this. Will, can we give me a hand? You know, though, Buffy, a.k.a. Sarah, does have a point. That's a lot of wasted jam and bread.
Well, you know what we'll do? Why don't these all be done, and I could just be working on the last. Like, these could all be sandwiches, and then I could just work on them.
But you wouldn't already have the peanut butter because peanut butter.
Well, no, all this could be jam, and I'll just be jamming the last one, based on the conversation. And now all we do is waste one piece of bread per cake, and I can even turn it over. Waste all this bread.
Why don't we?
We'll make it true.
Why don't we have maybe you're just doing the last one?
But then I'm still wasting one slice per cake. That's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
We'll leave it.
All right, everybody's having
Green screen here, and you can just CGI it later.
Do we have enough money for that?
Can I start you here? It would help me with my movement.
Just one change. And I'm doing the last jelly, and then you're going to start here.
Blank on one second. You don't.
Yeah.
Mix.
But I do it that way.
Careful, because I'm going to have her doing tuna fish here pretty quickly.
So these sides get peanut butter and that gets jelly. And that way you
speaking of tuna fish,
Now waste one piece of bread.
Okay.
All right, let's look at this.
Okay, one more rehearsal.
And it's from the Classic Sports Network, which I don't understand. They must have won it in the contest or something.
Yeah? It tries to kill Buffy.
I can't believe Giles was fired. And how could Giles get fired?
How did you manage to kill Crayley?
Oh, she was very clever. You go ahead and tell it, dear. You can tell it better.
Now, when you say fired, do you mean fired?
You're not cruising past that concept anytime soon, are you?
It's just, he was fired. He's unemployed. He's between jobs.
Yeah, but Giles isn't going anywhere, Will. He's still a librarian.
Okay, but I'm writing an angry letter.
Look, nothing is really going to change, okay? The important thing is that I kept up my special birthday tradition of gut-wrenching misery and horror.
Right side everything.
Everything will be okay once I get my power back.
Give you a hand with that, little lady?
You're enjoying this way too much.
Admit it. Sometimes you need a big, strong.
In that shirt?
No.
Oh, well, come here.
It makes my band in like the floral shirt.
Hey. Hang on.
It's
It's Muhammad Ali going, I just won. Or it's some horrible sex thing. Those are the legs. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
If we absolutely need it, it's in here.
Instinct. Not my house. Daddy's house.
Is it in a shelter?
So what's your How are you getting like Gelson's meal and doing
I don't know, John. I don't know what shelter.
We'd love Allie. I know it's going to be here. We'd love Danny would love to have you.
Who's Danny?
Danny.
Oh, Danny.
We'd love to have you on.
Daniel.
Yeah, okay, so, well, are we seeing him?
Did you already order it, Allie?
Yeah. Picking it up.
Oh, because of the... What is this? Let me speak to somebody who knows.
Just talk to Aaron, then.
Do you?
Yeah, I would want it for
Figure
me.
it, huh?
So the man signing off.
Exactly, no, but I think it would look great on you. I think you would look stupendous. You know it. You know how I feel about you.
I don't know. It depends how long it takes.
I mean, that would now be 4 episodes in a row with only wearing that shoe. Oh no, I got to
We'll give you all.
I'll do one more time.
You hold it open. You can snap it and then pull it out of frame. Okay. One more time. Put it in. Okay.
And action. Okay.
Again.
Forgot to stake me, though.
Okay.
Let's stake.
Do you want me to stake
Forgot
you?
to stake me, yeah. Shh, and I'll disappear.
Let's do it again.
Okay?
Yeah.
Ready? And action. Stake me. Now I disappear.